Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Dump and Change. Today our guest is Billy Hengen, and he is our coach here at St. Cloud State University. Billy, let's start from the beginning. How did you get your involvement in hockey?
So when I was younger, my parents were not hockey people. They put me in soccer, hockey right away, and baseball. And I liked hockey, so we just kept doing all the sports. My first year in hockey, I had one goal. And my only memory from that year is there was a kid in my league who had a green helmet. He was from Mounds View, so I played for Centennial. My only memory from that year is I thought that kid was good, and I wanted to be as good as him. So that's my only memory from my first year of hockey. And then after that, I kind of figured out how to skate and do the whole thing. And then hockey was my sport. But I didn't determine that hockey was my sport until about 12 years old.
Around the time where people kind of start figuring out that, this is maybe something that I could do.
Yeah, I think that's pretty common age, 12 or 13.
Okay.
The reason that I decided that hockey was my sport is because the soccer fields went from small to big.
Oh.
So much running.
Soccer was my sport, but then I realized in soccer the ball kept getting kicked back and forth, and I was midfielder, so I didn't touch the ball as much.
A bagger or two.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
like,
a lot of running.
I think that's it for me with soccer.
Maybe
We'll
he's
stick
not
with
even
hockey.
talking about the running, but obviously our
We're
heads go
we're
to,
going
like,
right to the running.
we're
Like, we
not
get
running.
where you're coming from on that part.
So you played soccer and hockey. When did you start playing hockey? Did you say what age?
I was 5 when I first started.
It's a normal time.
Pretty early. Were you always good?
The second year I scored 33. My parents kept track, and
When
I
you were
got,
6,
when I was 6,
you
yep,
scored 33 goals?
yep, and I'd skate as fast as I could back to the face-off circle with my stick up, and I'd get ready before the ref was there. Little kids do that. And then after that, I never consider myself actually just a hockey player, and I ended up doing football as well. And the number I chose in hockey as I got older was number 20, and it was because of a running back named Barry Sanders. And I liked all sports. I liked playing running back. But hockey in Minnesota, I think, is just a thing. And that's what people seem to gravitate towards. Yeah. And just like a classic Minnesotan, I chose hockey.
Did your parents seem to push you one way or another, or were they just kind of letting you do your thing?
So my dad was a kind of a have fun, be prepared, be focused type of guy, real positive. He was superstitious, so he'd have a coffee and a cookie during a game. And if he had a certain cookie, he'd eat it again the next game if I scored or if we won. He helped out he coached my baseball teams, he coached my soccer teams growing up. And then in hockey, he just kind of, he was a helper. And I had other non-parent coaches, because in hockey in Minnesota, non-parent coaches, you got to have them.
Yeah.
I had really serious youth hockey coaches, a guy named Irv Singer, who was taking his son to Canada, playing in the top tournaments. Irv was very intense. So I had a very intense coach when I was 8 years old. And I remember he'd look at me and he'd say, Billy, how fast do we pass the puck? And he'd be like this, and he'd get kind of in my face.
Yeah.
But he'd do it to all the kids. So hockey just, for me, my mom was a very sports psychology. Mm-hmm. My mom made a packet for me and my sister on how to think about sports.
No.
And if you think you've lost, you've lost, that mentality. We never speak about potentially losing, right? And it culminated, because my mom was very competitive, and it culminated on a trip to play in Noka, and they were rated number 1 in state.
Okay.
And
Is this high school or youth or what?
So this would be Pee Wee A.
Okay.
Pee Wee AA now.
Still young.
Yep. And we were driving to Anoka, and my buddy Josh, who was one of the best players around, was going with us. We were giving him a ride, and Josh made a comment. He's like, "Anoka's so good. I think we're in for one. I'm kind of nervous. These guys are the best team in the state." And my mom pulled over on the shoulder of the road.
No.
And she said, "If you guys have already lost the game, why am I driving you?" She's like, "Do you want me to keep going, or should I bring the car home?" And she's like, "If you've lost, you've lost. You have to believe you're going to win. And that message was always super positive, though. It wasn't like a negative thing.
Yeah.
And she made it fun, too, because she always lived in the moment.
So you feel like a lot of the stuff that you learned from your parents kind of has carried over into your coaching game now?
Yeah, I like the sports psychology side that she ingrained in me. So when I didn't make a team, like if I got cut, or like when I was in college, if I wasn't on a line I wanted to be on even. So even in my 20s, if I called my mom and I said, hey, I wish I was on this line. I should be here. She gave me the same response when I was 8 as when I was 20, 3 years old. She said, you need to get so good that they can't deny you. You need to get so good that there's no decision to be made. There can't be a decision, because if there's a decision, they may not choose you.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, and it was always good advice. It was kind of like, you just need to keep getting better. And growing up, she never complained about any of the coaches. My dad never complained about any of the coaches. I never heard a negative word about any of the coaches that I had. And looking back in hindsight, I really appreciate that.
Yeah, control what you can.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So when you got to high school hockey, you played at Holy
Angels,
Holy
the
Angels?
Academy of Holy Angels.
So is that like a high school? Or
Yeah.
was that like a prep?
Yeah, so that's 9th through 12th. That's a high school, a traditional
Okay.
high school, traditional private high school.
Okay, what was
Richfield.
that experience like for you? Because Minnesota hockey is a big thing.
We were able to go to the state tournament as a junior. That was the first time that Holy Angels had been to the state tournament. We were AA. And as a Minnesota kid growing up, that was, felt like a dream come true at the time.
So is that when you started having like college aspirations or like playing juniors and stuff? That's when you started thinking about that a bit more?
I knew I wanted to go to Minnesota or St. Cloud State. And my decision was made for me because Doug Woog was let go or retired from the Gophers.
Yeah.
And I had an offer on the table from St. Cloud State. And I'm like, let's do it. So that was that easy. I wanted to stay close to home.
Wait, when was this? What year was this?
So that would be 1998, 99.
When you committed?
Yeah.
So
that'd be my junior year in high
your
school.
junior year of high school?
Yeah.
So you didn't go to St. Cloud for a while after that, did you?
No.
Played 2 years of juniors in Lincoln?
So I played 2 years of juniors in Lincoln. The plan was to go right to St. Cloud State. I had a shoulder surgery after my junior season. I had dislocated a bunch of times. And I wanted to go right to St. Cloud State. And that was the plan. However, my coaches are like, after my senior year, it wasn't as good as my junior year. I didn't have as good a season. I wasn't quite in good enough shape as I should have been. I was a kid.
Yeah.
So, I had the surgery, and I just thought,
Yeah.
I would go back to normal. Well, my senior year, I'm like, well, geez, I'm a little overweight. I'm a little slower. I'm a little not what I was. So I went to Lincoln, Nebraska, and I played for a team that had a bunch of guys like me that were older and 20 years old. And a lot of them had committed to North Dakota and Minnesota and Mankato and stuff. So that was a little bit of an eye-opening experience for me because I wasn't in the top half of the team.
Yeah.
So was it St. Cloud's choice or was it your choice?
St. Cloud's choice. I remember there was a little bit of an awkward conversation in my living room because they were trying to convince my parents that it was the right thing for me to go play juniors.
Oh.
And I was just a kid, and my parents kind of spoke for me. But it turned out to be the right decision. So the St. Cloud State coaching staff was right. And I'm glad I went to juniors. It was so fun. And I had such a great experience. My junior team, my first year, I got healthy scratch sometimes. So I would put the suit on, and go sit in the stands at some games, which is a good case of a humble experience, right?
Definitely.
I had, that was kind of my year of what you call hockey hell. And I was a little mature, so I didn't handle it too well. Yeah. I actually thought about quitting the team. So this was late in the year, right before playoffs. And I actually made the decision to quit the team. So this is right when playoffs are starting. And I have a scholarship to St. Cloud State. I call home. I call my mom, and I say, hey, I'm coming home. And she's like, okay. She's my mom. She's like,
your
okay.
Mom said okay?
Well, she's like, she didn't think it was the best idea, but she's like, I understand.
Okay.
So I pack my car up. I leave Lincoln. I get out on the highway. My sister calls me. My sister's 4 years older than me. She was a Vikings cheerleader at the time. She's very assertive. She's very intelligent. And she says, what are you going to do when you get home? I'm like, I don't know.
It's always
She's
a
like, so
question.
you're on your way home right now? She goes, to St. Cloud? No, you quit. I go, no. She goes, so you're telling me you're going to go home and just sit there and you're going to quit and St. Cloud State's going to be okay with it. And then she threw a couple choice words at me. And I said, you're right. I turned the car around. I went back. I unpacked the car, put my stuff, told my house parents in Lincoln because I was building with Sherry and Perry and Sheila, and they were okay with it. My coach didn't know I'd quit either.
Okay,
Oh,
so
so
you
you
were
just
just
left?
gonna.
I'm like, let's keep this on the DL. So
You're just not going to show up the next day.
yeah, I was just gonna go home. I was a kid. I was mad I wasn't playing, and I didn't think it was fair and that kind of stuff. So I went back to the rink, and my coach mentioned to me, he's like, I heard, you were, I don't think he used the word quit, but he mentioned to me that I kind of knew he knew.
Yeah.
Somebody said something to him, and I said, oh, no. I'm
No,
I'm
Coach,
not-
where'd you hear that?
Correct. So he ended up suiting me up in the final game of the whole championship deal. We were in Game 5 in home versus Omaha, and he suited me up. Unfortunately, we didn't win, so the story would have been a little bit better had we won. But we lost in Game 5 of the championship, but I did get suited up. And then I had asked him to trade me that year a few times, and since a lot of the people who'll be watching this podcast are some of the hockey players, I do have a good story from that year. I went into the coach's office, and I said to him, I think I should be playing more, And he goes, okay. He goes,
Okay.
He's like, okay. And he goes, we keep a list that we rank all the players every week, the whole staff. And he put the list in front of me. He goes, who should you be playing in front of?
Oh, no.
And I thought he might be baiting into me,
Yeah.
and he's like, no, I'm serious. He's like, I just want you to be honest. This is a conversation between you and I. Who on this list are you better than? And I looked at the list, and I'm like, yeah, maybe this guy, maybe him. And he goes, maybe him. And I'm like, I get what you're saying, coach. I get it, right? And I asked him to trade me. He didn't trade me. He said he'd trade me for a kid for Waterloo if they made the trade. Waterloo didn't make the trade. So I still had it because I knew I could play in Waterloo. So then I went in one more time. So I went in his office twice. And one of the times I said, I'm not playing with confidence. I go, Coach, I'm not doing anything well in practice. I'm not playing with confidence. And I was totally fishing for a compliment from him, right?
He's like, you look great.
I was just looking to
None
have
of that.
one of those conversations where like, hey, Coach, I'm not playing that well. Like, what do you think? And he goes, Billy, confidence comes from skating well, shooting well, passing well, and playing well. He goes, you're not doing any of those things. And he goes, and when you do, you'll have confidence. And I love that so much because as a coach, I may not have been that blunt with kids or with players I've coached, but I believe what he said is true.
Yeah.
You can't get confidence by someone else giving it to you.
Right.
You do have to get confidence through seeing yourself have success. And it doesn't have to necessarily mean you're in the lineup or it doesn't have to mean you're on the top line. But if you know you're doing things well, that's really where confidence comes from. But as a freshman at St. Cloud, I took the experience that I had of not playing my first year.
Mm-hmm.
And I only played 12 games my freshman year at St. Cloud State.
Yeah.
Did you expect more?
So he called me in the summer before my freshman year, and he put a list in front of me, and he covered up the scholarship money, and he goes, these are the guys that we have, and these are the guys we have coming in. He goes, I don't see you ever playing a game here. And I had just led my junior team in scoring, and I thought I did well.
Yeah.
And I did have confidence. So I was like, oh, no, this is, there's no transfer portal. I have no communication with other coaches, and I have a scholarship. And I think he wanted my scholarship money to give to someone else. But I know that there's some legal stuff that they have to follow.
Yeah.
So he said, you can come because I had signed a contract.
Right.
So like forcing you to quit type deal.
Yeah, he didn't really force me to, but he said he just wanted to make it clear. He was also
Yeah.
being honest with me.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't see you playing.
Okay,
here.
so he truly thought that.
He truly
just
thought
because
that.
of your injury.
Yeah, and the assistant coach's evaluation of me that came, they didn't think I was going to have the speed to play on the Olympic-sized ice sheet and the strength and the size to, like, overcome, like, the injuries and stuff.
Okay.
So how was that first year then?
Well, I
And
kind of
only-
lied to myself, first of all, because I'm like, he's just motivating me, you know, like
Yeah.
a little self-talk. Like, I
Yes.
think you know, there's a little motivation going on here.
He's just saying that.
Yeah. I spun it a little bit, but I did want to, I kind of put myself in a position where I wanted to prove to him that I could do it.
Yeah.
But I went into my freshman year with like a fantastic attitude. I went in there, I wasn't mad about the meeting, and I didn't expect to play at all. So when he put me in the lineup, the first weekend on the fourth line. And as you know, as everyone knows, if you're on the fourth line, you're getting 5-on-5 shifts. And if there's a lot of power plays and penalty kills, you're not going to play a ton, right?
True.
So you just make the most of your shifts, and you want to do a great job. And that was my attitude on that. And but then the games I didn't play my freshman year, I'd go in the weight room and do a little extra workout.
Yeah. The usual.
I'd watch the game on TV a little bit while I'm working out because they had it playing at the time in the deal. But some of the other freshmen were going through the same thing I'd gone through in juniors. You know, upset, like I'm not in the lineup, healthy scratch. But for me, it was, I do need to get stronger. I do need to get faster.
Yeah.
I'm accepting this. I know I do. So I spent that whole year getting sore and trying to get stronger and faster. And then that summer, I put in like my Rocky summer, I call it. I try to tell like young players, like, you need to have one Rocky summer.
True.
Because that can really get you up. Because if you do what everyone else is doing, if you just take the workout book that they give you, all your teammates are doing the same thing.
Yeah.
If you just do the same thing everyone else is doing, you're probably not going to bridge the gap or like increase compared to them.
Right.
So I took the book and I did it. And then I'd go to this Olympic ski jump hill and run up the side of it. And then I'd go do track workouts. And then I'd do Acceleration Minnesota workouts. And I would work out 4 days a week. And usually it was to the point where I had nothing left in the tank. And that was my Rocky summer. So then I came back the next year and I tested as the 4th fastest skater on the team. And the year before I tested as the 16th fastest skater.
Let's go.
So then the coach saw that and gave me more opportunities, and then life was good after that. So when I got recruited by Craig, when he first brought me up to St. Cloud State, it was before they played the Gophers, and I was just like a kid, and I hadn't committed yet, and he walked me out to the glass, and he looks up, and he had glasses, and he kind of dressed like Bob Dole, like a flannel a lot, and jeans, you know, with a belt buckle, and he's like, "It's a goddamn bee's nest in here tonight, hey, Billy," you know? And then when he'd address the team, he kind of pulls pants up, he'd push his glasses up, and he'd be like, "I'm just so goddamn competitive. We got to stay even keel," you know? And
Is his voice that high?
No, I'm totally dramatizing it. I'm like,
You're like, I know the guy.
But everyone who played for Dahl, he was a guy who got a lot of hard work out of the players. Like, he got the best out of players. And that's one thing, like, with St. Cloud that I've seen, like, with our team. I think that Brian does a good job, fantastic job, and Janelle, of getting the team to really buy into work ethic.
Right.
And
Definitely.
we have a strong team. And we've put the work in the weight room, and we put the work in on the ice. And our practices are very intense.
Yeah.
And Dahl had that too, my coach. But Dahl had kind of lost the locker room a little bit. And he had lost it years prior. And I think that over time, a couple groups had gone through, had talked to the AD about potentially coaching change. So sometimes that's how it works. Going into my senior year, we did, we talked to the AD, and we thought that maybe a new coach would be awesome, like a good thing.
Yeah.
And Dahl retired that off season, and we got Bob Motzko in, who's the coach of the Gophers.
Yeah.
And Bob and us, my senior year, I call it a honeymoon year, because Bob had zero expectations. So Bob came in late. He didn't have any of his own recruits. He just had the guys that Dahl had. And he told the seniors, thankfully, like, "I'm going to play you guys." Because, like, that's always, like, if you get a new coach, like,
Yeah.
is he going to play the young guys? So we loved it, and we loved him as, like, for that. And Bob didn't really, because Bob, in hindsight, like, if you talk to his players now, the Gopher players or players that played at St. Cloud State for him, like, he was really intense, and he could be really hard on guys. But for us, I don't think he was really hard on us or that intense until late in the year when he knew we had a chance.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, I think he's like, "Whoa, I didn't expect this. Like, now I better really serious up." And we ended up winning 22 games that year. which was the most in my 4 years. And then we had the coolest game. One of the cooler games in St. Cloud history, in my opinion, was, and it's on the walls. It's like, you guys wouldn't know, but it's like they have a couple pictures of it, the celebration. But we were in an 8-7 St. Patty's Day game versus the Gophers, and it was overtime. So we were up like 7-4, and they scored 3 goals in the final, and they were ranked number 1 in the country, and we're at the Excel, and they came back and tied it. We went to overtime, and we ended up scoring a goal from the corner. Our fourth line guy just shot the puck because he wanted to get off the ice.
Yeah.
And the goalie was off his angle. It was like the least expected goal. And we went out and sallied, and we thought we were going to the national tournament too, because we thought we needed one more win, and we got it against the number 1 team, so we had 22 wins. We had 17 wins my freshman year, and we made the national tournament with 17 wins.
Yeah.
And the wins actually play out like they do for us a little bit. But 17 wins doesn't get you in a national tournament, but it did for my freshman year. My senior year, we won 22 games, and we missed it by like a fraction of a point. And a couple teams won their conference tournaments that shouldn't. And that's something that as we go into the final stretch here,
yeah, that gets you.
You want the teams that are the favorites to win the tournaments. You don't want any surprises.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So when did you start thinking about coaching?
So after my senior year, all my buddies went on to play. I had a plan that I was going to go play minor league hockey here in the U.S. I'd signed a contract with New Mexico, and my goal was to lead. I wanted to lead the league in scoring in the CHL. Like I had ECHL offers. I could have tried out for an AHL team, but I wasn't like an NHL prospect. Yeah. And I was like, I want to put one big year up on a nice location, so I picked a southern location.
You wanted a vacation.
Where there's vitamin D and
like,
sun.
Where is it warm?
So, and then I was going to go out to Europe. But I had this another surgery on my right shoulder. And that was
knocking you down.
A little bit of a Mr. Potato Head. So, so I had my, right. So I had my 6th surgery. So that was my 3rd shoulder surgery, but I had lung collapse. I had
oh my gosh,
a couple hand surgeries. So I was kind of always coming back from surgeries. Well, the Mayo Clinic doctor said, you need 12 months for this one, because based off the surgeries, I want you to take 12 months. And during my rehab, I started coaching with Holy Angels. So the Greg Treble, and he's my coaching mentor. He's no longer with us, but he was. Everyone who played for him adored this guy, but I got to coach with him, and I was still like kind of a kid, and I was the second assistant. And after that season, I thought, I don't know if I should go back and play, because 1, it's not going to be financially a thing, and 2, I kind of had this weird thing where I'm like, what if I get like 1 major concussion? Because I've already had all these surgeries. It was an odd thought, but I'm like, how much, if I take a concussion, is it worth it? And if I take more surgeries, is it worth it? Yeah. And I just kept coaching. Now, being completely honest, I did question that decision probably for a decade, because when I go out and play and have a lot of fun playing hockey still, I would think to myself, and I didn't share it with people. But I was like, I should go back and play, Yeah. So I had the passion, right? To go back and play. But I think it was the right decision not to. The coaching side has been really fun. I coached at Holy Angels. I ended up becoming their head coach in 2013. And then I went and took a financial job, and that led me to Gentry. So I've been at Gentry the last 6 years. And the people who own the financial firm started Gentry, and they built it.
Oh, okay.
So the Lucius family built Gentry. And then they recruited me and my buddy Joe Jensen, who was my line mate at St. Cloud State.
Oh, that's cool.
And then Joe Cullen, whose brother played at St. Cloud State, Matt Cullen, whose numbers retired here. Us 3 were recruited to build the hockey side of Gentry. So we built the hockey side of Gentry, and that's what led me to this, because Mira, I met Mira last year.
Gotcha.
She was scouting my team. And then when a position opened up here, I texted Mira, and I'm like, hey, you guys got a position open. So that led me to this.
Gotcha. So go ahead.
you were originally in boys hockey.
Yeah.
Yes.
And last year was your first year of girls?
Yeah, so last year was my first year coaching girls hockey.
Okay.
And I didn't want to coach the team. I actually didn't.
Thanks.
I was nervous about it. No, I was nervous about it. It wasn't that I didn't want to coach.
What were you nervous about?
I'd only coached boys high school, essentially from 2006 and on. And then I'd coached some younger boys hockey for the summer stuff with the Blades and in this tournament called the Brick. And I took a year off the bench so we won the Class A tournament with Joe Cullen. Me and him were co-coaches. And after COVID that year, I took a year off the bench. I just asked the school, I'm like, you guys mind if I take a year off the bench? Because I had seen these kids through that I coached from a young age, and they all graduated. So I was like, I kind of plan on taking that year off. They said that's fine. Well, anyways, the girls' position opened up, so the job opened up. And at Gentry, we have a small staff, and I'm obviously a hockey coach there. Mm-hmm. So they're like, you're going to be coaching the girls' team next year, the year after I took a year off the bench. And I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to be good at it. It wasn't necessarily I didn't want to coach girls. I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to be cut out for this. I don't know the psychology of it. I don't know how to coach. I know how to coach boys. I know what I can say and can't say, and I know how to discipline, and I know all that stuff. So with the girls' team, they were all seniors, almost all seniors. So there was also extra pressure because they lost to go to the state championship the year before.
Oh, gotcha.
And I'm like, I'm going to have a group of seniors too. That's a lot of pressure. Yeah. Not from like a money standpoint or career standpoint, like get fired standpoint, but I'm going to have a group of kids that want me to do a good job for them.
Last year.
Yeah, so I went into this, I kind of was like, I don't want to do this. And then when the first day tryouts happened, I did not want to go to the tryout. I didn't. And then we did the tryout, a week went by, and then week 2, I'm like, okay, I like these girls. They're awesome. Yeah. Like, they're fun. Like, I can tell. And then we went and played Andover early in the year, and we beat them. They had won like 34 games in a row, apparently, and it hadn't lost at home in 3 years. And we beat them in a real nail-biter. And I was like, that was maybe one of the most fun games I've had on the bench ever. And I'm like, I'm really liking this. Yeah. So, 3 weeks in, I was completely bought in. And I actually found that the girls were easier to coach than boys. I thought they were... there was less problems.
Interesting.
I thought they were easy to talk to. I thought the communication was easier.
Gotcha.
More mature, better listeners.
Like more coachable?
Definitely more coachable in the sense that you could verbally say what you want them to do, and they could do it in a timely fashion.
Yeah.
With boys, it's more like repetition.
Interesting.
You can't just say it.
Yeah.
You got to kind of you have to keep doing it and hope they come along with you. So you have to do a lot of repetition and practice. But with the girls, I thought I'd say something on the board, and then the next period we'd do it. I'm like, this is awesome. You guys are actually listening. I also felt like I didn't have a time limit on me when I'd speak to the girls. So when I speak to the boys, I give myself 1 minute to get my point across.
Because they're losing attention already?
Right. So whenever I coach boys, I'm like, get the point that you want across immediately, get their attention, say it, and get out. Yeah. Or if you keep talking, they're probably going to tune you out. And when I was talking to the girls in the locker room at Gentry, I would be like, are you guys still listening? I'd look around. They're all just listening. I'm like,
they're Billy, we're still listening.
I can calm down and I can just talk. So, and then Grace Delmonico was on the team, and they were hilarious. And I've seen her with you guys. She pulls the boombox around.
Our speaker,
no,
Billy?
The speaker. So, yes, the boombox. And they would have these, they'd do a dance party before games. Oh. They would do it in out front of the locker room.
Sounds about right.
And I'm like, you guys spend more energy. I can't watch this because I feel like. And then I've noticed even at the collegiate level, because I'll put the video up, the opposing team, and there's a lot of energy spent before games. I've noticed with the music and the rah-rah.
Yeah, it is exciting. It's always a fun environment to be in, I feel like.
Yeah.
And you love talking to us, I think.
Yeah, I really enjoy
Billy's always chatting us up on the bench and stuff. Middle of practice.
He makes it fun.
Yeah,
for sure. Definitely. Okay, should we move on to questions?
We do. We have some people sent in
fans
questions.
wrote in.
All right, let's hear them.
How did you break your jaw?
All right, that's interesting. I wonder who would have sent that.
Who wrote that?
All right, so this will tie into another story. We would play. So I coached these 03 birth year kids who are now 20, and they're playing collegiately mainly at Gentry. But at the time, me, Jensen, and Cullen, we would play a lot with the kids. Like we would hop in the scrimmages, put our shinnies on, and put our, and I didn't wear a mask, and some of my injuries as an adult, because I've continued to have surgeries as an adult from competitive stuff. So Joe Jensen, my buddy who plays St. Cloud State, is responsible for my ACL tear playing basketball. So he's the one who shot the puck, and he shouldn't have shot it because it was late in the game. So like the game was pretty much over, and he's a coach, and his team was losing. There was no chance of coming back. But he was angry, in my opinion. He came down and snapped a puck as hard as he could. Now, Joe played in the NHL. He played some games in the NHL. He can shoot the puck hard. And I happened to be the weak side defense. And I'm not really paying attention to Joe. I'm just on the other side. And he tries to shoot it through the defenseman in front of him, who's a kid on our team named Bennett Shimmick. And it hits Bennett Shimmick's toe cap and just a split second, like it's in my jaw. I didn't even have a chance to react to it. The second it hit my face, I knew my jaw broke. I knew it was broke. And I thought all my teeth were out too. Like I thought they were all bent back, but it was really my wisdom tooth that had like gone a different direction. But I thought the other teeth had gone a different direction. So I get up and I'm like, I broke my jaw. Like, and they're like, did you, people I would never want to believe it. So I heard a couple of voices, are you sure? Yep. So I go back into the coach's room to take my stuff off. And I've already had like 9 surgeries total. And as an adult, I've driven myself to the hospital quite a few times. So I'm like, all right, medical, like this is going to be, in my mind, I'm like, how long is this going to take? What do I need to do? How much money is this going to cost me? So I get back in the coach's room, I kind of throw a little bit of a temper tantrum. And then I walked to the locker room where the boys are, I'd coached since they were 9. So these guys are 16. And I go, I'm officially retiring from trying to compete against, in any type of hockey. Going forward, I'm just going to be one of those guys who just has fun. So that was my retirement speech from like beer league style hockey, like trying.
We're done with that.
So then I ended up breaking my jaw in 2 spots, lost probably 15 pounds over 3 months. And that one I wouldn't wish that upon my worst enemy because they don't actually do your teeth right either. They have they manually do these little knots with the metal to like tie it down. And like a lot of it gets in your gums and, you can't open your mouth. You can't smile for 3 months.
That sounds horrible.
There's a picture of me golfing where my best friend is like, you look like you're 15 years old. Because I'd lost like 15 pounds. And it looks like I have braces in.
That's funny. Next question. When is your toe drag song being released?
With Devin Millwater?
Yes.
I don't know, we have the studio here. Do you guys want to make it a dump and change? Should we do a dump and change?
This will be another segment. We have to release Billy's toe drag song.
I'm offering that right now. We could do a toe drag song with dump and change with Devin Millwater.
I'm not really
don't have time for that
what
today.
It is.
Okay.
What is it?
It's a song where you just like the lyrics are any situation in hockey, and then the chorus is basically that the solution is a toe drag. So
can we hear like a little bit?
Give us a
sure.
sample.
So it'd be like, I'm in the D zone. I'm in the D zone. I'm coming out of the zone. I can't find anyone to pass to. I'm just by myself. There's a forechecker on me. What do? I toe drag.
Toe drag.
Toe drag.
I like it.
And
That's
then
going to be a hit.
Yeah, like you're coming in the zone. Okay, we'll end
All right,
it there.
we'll stop it there. Oh, gosh.
What was the biggest strength in your game and the biggest weakness?
So my biggest weakness would be a one-timer.
What?
One-timer.
Is that why we work on them every single day?
Yeah, and Brian loves one-timers too, so like we need to have good one-timers.
We get out to skills in our warm-ups at 1T.
Yeah, so
Billy
my
should hop in
one-timer
line.
just never
He does. He
that?
does every rep. He's still working on it.
It's still not good.
It's not that bad.
It's not good enough. And I just can't figure it out. I was even asking Melitza the other day because she had a great one-timer and for the Gophers. I'm like, so what's your secret to one-timers? So one-timers were my weakness. Then strength would just be just vision, like passing. And like I always could kind of, just kind of always knew who was open and could kind of navigate myself out of trouble just by making the right pass.
Okay.
Pre-game hype song?
Pre-game hype song. That's a good one because I do triathlon as an adult. So like I got into triathlon as a hobby, and I try to have good workout mixes. So that's a good one. I might just have to go with Macklemore, Can't Hold Us,
It's a good one.
Okay.
or Fetty Wap always gets me too. He always gets me going. Like,
That's a good one.
Trap Queen, Fetty Wap to start a
Trap
run.
Queen.
It actually, you should try it. It's good.
Good to know. I like it.
What was your most memorable hockey moment?
My most memorable hockey moment as a player was the game I alluded to with the Gophers and the 8-7 win.
Okay.
And then as a coach, I would say I got teared up on the bench against Shattuck with the 03s because I coached them for 8 years, and it was our last year together, and we were beating Shattuck in their barn 7-2. And they had some good players on their team like Jackson Blake and Isaac Howard and stuff. And I called a timeout, brought the kids in because it was like our last month together. I'm just like, I'm so proud of you guys. You know, like it's been such a good run. And I got pretty teary-eyed, you know. And I coached them since they've been 9 though, so it was like 8 years. And then last year we were coaching the girls AA team and winning the state tournament.
That's a good one.
Actually, the semi was the coolest moment of that year. We beat Tonkin overtime, and the girl who scored was kind of one of those kids that always wasn't sure if she's doing things the right way and a little insecure about her game. And she's always wanted to do well for the team, but she shot the puck from the half wall. And when I ran over there and I was kind of like celebrating with the team because I just ran across the ice too. I want to be part of the celly.
Of course.
She was like kind of crying, and I'm like, this is cool because I'm like witnessing like this kid's
She's
like
crying. This is
one of
cool.
it. Well, it's like it'll be one of her best moments of her life,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I
Feel
she'll
good
remember that,
moment.
and I got to be a part of that, so that was fun.
Favorite scratch at the Scratches skate?
Favorite scratch?
Yeah.
Well, I have to go with Grace Delmonico. I mean, because this is a biased question. She's from, she's Gentry Academy.
She wrote it, probably.
She's Gentry Academy. She won a state championship with me.
Did anyone get injured from trying to block a Brocklehurst slap shot in practice?
So Brocklehurst had a great one-timer. Brocklehurst took some bombs.
Who is that?
He was kind of like, I think Sydney Bryant's going to be kind of like Brocklehurst because I think Sydney will take a lot of bombs and probably break some ankles in practice. I don't think she's...
After your skill skates, she's got to have a good one, too.
And I do love doing the Scratches skates. So shout out to the Scratches.
Shout out
you guys
to
are awesome.
Scratches.
Yeah.
You guys rock.
No, and they're going to... Just like my freshman year, I didn't play 12 games. I was scratched a lot. And, they'll find a way.
What is your favorite saying?
My favorite saying would be in hockey when we used to like be working hard. It was from a 50 Cent song. It was you gotta love it more than you hate it, and I always thought that when I was doing workouts or like training, I'd be like, I love it more than I hate it because you're gonna hate the hard work when you're doing it, but deep down you're glad you're doing it because it's an opportunity. Like you guys are doing what you want to do.
Right.
So working hard, you love it more than you hate it.
I like that.
What about pitter patter?
I love pitter patter. Yeah, pitter patter. Let's get going. Let's get at it.
What is the biggest difference between St. Cloud when you played here versus now?
Oh, that's a pretty easy question to answer. So the biggest difference, hockey-wise, there's not a lot of difference.
Okay.
I mean, the rink looks the same for the most part. The seriousness, like, wanting to come to the rink and win games and make the national tournament. The campus is, there's less kids. So, like, when I was going to St. Cloud, there was 17,000 kids, and all the housing was all kids.
Interesting.
So it was really like, it felt like it was a town of college kids.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's a little more quiet and like peaceful, like environment in terms of the campus right now.
I would agree.
Do you like recruiting better or being on the road with us? Or at home, wherever?
I've learned to like recruiting. I didn't think I'd love scouting as much. I do like going out and scouting, but I like I'm social. So like when I'm out scouting, if I'm with someone or like I like to kind of talk to the coaches or talk to the other college teams that are there. But I like the social side of being on the road with you guys and being at the rink and cheering you guys on and that type of thing.
Okay.
What do you look for when you're recruiting, and does character matter?
So
Like, be honest.
well,
He's like, no.
well
Good
here's
at hockey and a terrible person. I'll take them.
so my job would be to find the players that can, the hockey side of it, and then bring kids in that I'm interested in, and then Brian meets them, and Brian does the vetting,
Okay.
Yeah.
and Brian's good at that because Brian's done it so much. I think he looks for certain things. He asks certain
Yeah.
questions. He
talked to
looks
us a
kids
bit
in the
about it.
eyes,
Yeah.
and he wants to see if they're serious.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he's got a knack for that. So for me, I'm just looking for the players that could survive the National Hockey Center and survive the practices and get better at the Division I level so that they can play.
You just have to be good at hockey.
Not
That's
a good
it.
person.
We'll deal with that later.
You
Brian
do have
will
to be a
judge
good
that
person,
later.
yes. But I there's no way for me to tell if someone's a good person when
Yeah.
I'm just at the rink scouting, right? So
What if they have like a terrible attitude, like they're slamming their stick? You don't care? You like that?
I would care. But I mean, if the player that I'm scouting is slamming their stick on the ice because they're frustrated because of how they're playing, then I'm
The more
probably
you
not
playing
going to be
like
interested
that.
Then they already suck.
Yeah, they suck.
Okay. Last question. What do you like to do outside of the rink?
So outside the rink, I love Sundays with my boy, my wife, and her boy, Eddie. So our two little boys, Eddie and William, William just turned 6. Eddie turns 5 within a week here.
Happy birthday,
We
Eddie.
call it partying. Like, we call it a partying, but we don't really party. But we call it, let's party on Sunday. So we don't stay inside. We're like, this Sunday we went to the Science Museum. We'll go to Edinburgh and Edina, which is like an indoor playground. Take the kids to Pizza Luce. Take them to an outdoor playground.
These kids are spoiled.
And then we
Yeah.
just go from like all day until everyone's run down at night. So we are like, let's
Including
party hard on
yourself.
Sunday. And then one thing like I wish I would have known when I got out of hockey was I wish I would have had like another sport or another activity or hobby to be into. Because I think a lot of hockey players and people that come out of college, like a lot of people just put their bag away and they're like, I'm never going to work out again. Or I wasn't that way, but like a lot of people are like, I'm sick of working out. I'm sick of the thing. I'm just going to go. But for me, I wish I would have got into something. And then in my early 30s, so about 10 years ago, I got into the triathlon. And I did an Ironman. I've done a half Ironman. And I like the training because it's outside. And I love sun. So get on the bike and go for a ride.
That's cool.
Go for a run. Go for a swim in the lake. So it's like it's a
Bagger.
good old man sport.
Very
Yeah.
impressive.
And most people get into triathlon in their 30s. It's kind of one of those things like it's a post, like whatever you're into, you get into in your 30s and 40s.
Maybe we'll get into that. Probably not.
Swimming keeps most people out of it. I've tried to recruit a lot
I
of
think
people
the
into
I
it.
was a
running would
swimmer in
keep
high
me
school.
out of it.
So you could be
The
a
running
triathlete.
The running, yeah.
You can learn to do that. It takes a while. That's the
I've-
hardest thing to get. It's actually
I
harder than
think I
swimming.
just don't like it.
I know
think
how to
that's-
run.
I didn't like it either. I would.
know
I
I
would
know
run.
how to run.
Let's just clarify that right now.
And you know what? I don't need.
Yeah. We'll see. We'll see what we end up doing. Maybe you should take up like pickleball or
Yeah,
something.
I was thinking pickleball.
You could play with
I
Brian.
did a little pickleball. I like
You're
it,
not good?
but I'm not. It's indoors.
No,
not a
it's
hard-
not.
Oh, you're right. In the summer, you can do outdoors.
Yeah.
I do like pickleball. Nicole's great at it. Brian's wife. And I'm gonna have her work with my boy William because he's a tennis player,
Yep.
and she can. I'm gonna have her work with him on pickleball.
I
Kinda
could
like private
probably
training.
I could probably train him in pickleball. I'm
Really?
pretty
You got
good.
some pickleball game?
I'm pretty good.
You guys go doubles?
Yeah.
Yeah, we do.
But
we
like
dust.
I'll win doubles, singles, whatever.
Really? We should have a team pickleball tournament. in
We
the spring
should.
Oh yeah.
with
I'd
staff
be down
too.
for that. Okay.
Absolutely.
Deal.
That would be fun. Can I ask you guys a few questions before we go?
Sure.
Yes.
All right. How are you guys enjoying doing the podcast?
It's fun. It's a lot of work, honestly.
I think it's been really fun for me to like meet other athletes and stuff and make connections with teams that we maybe like didn't have an in with before.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, because you guys have interviewed other players from other teams
Yeah.
and other athletes. Do you guys have any guests that you're recruiting or the people that you're hoping come on the show eventually?
We want to have someone from the PWHL.
Very
we want to
cool.
hear what like that's about.
Yeah. We want to try and get people more like St. Cloud teams as well, and then also like hockey players from different schools would be good.
Yeah.
Like we have a little running list of people we might
have a
want
list
on,
of people
but
in mind, but we sometimes do our things last minute, so we don't have time to reach out to those like outside
yeah,
people.
like scheduling wise, it can be kind of challenging.
Yeah, it's tough to schedule this.
We'll see what happens when the season's over though
Yeah.
too. So
I really appreciate you guys having me on, and I enjoyed your guys' recent vlogs.
thank you.
I think you guys should continue the vlogs.
You're
and-
actually in the next one. It's posting.
Yeah.
It's posting soon. You're in it.
Very cool. And then where do you guys see the podcast evolving into in the future?
It's hard to say. We at least have like another year of doing it, and I don't know what's gonna happen after that. Honestly, we'll see.
Yeah, your guess is as good as mine.
Yeah, see how much it takes off. But it's been really fun to do. So if we could continue doing it, it'd be cool. But
Unless our views keep going the way they do, then we're gonna be at 0 in no time.
yeah, so like, subscribe, and follow.
It's a hockey stick curve. It's flat, and as people get to know, and all of a sudden,
I like that
Parabolic.
analogy. I
I
like
think
it.
you guys are doing a great job, and it'll continue to.
Thanks, Billy.
You guys should keep
Thank
doing
you,
it.
Billy.
All right, last question for you guys.
Okay.
What's your guys' go-to song before a game?
We've answered
Hype
this
song.
before. I know
No
yours.
flocking.
What?
What?
No flocking.
Okay, how about you?
No Depression by G Herbo.
All right, I'll have to,
You'll
I'll
have
have
to
to
give
check
him a
those out.
He's like, what?
Like,
You'll have to listen to him. Add it to your mix. It'll be up your alley. We
Yeah.
promise.
it's kind of like Fetty Wap.
Kind of. Not as like upbeat, but
I
the
lied.
rap
One more
vibe.
question. What would be a success for our team in the final weeks? What would you consider a successful season going down the stretch?
Winning the national championship.
Beat everybody.
Win out.
Anything less than is failure.
Honestly,
Yeah.
that is.
The
Now
calm
that we're
before the
this
storm.
close, it's failure if
We
we
aim
don't win
high.
it all. Yeah.
It's a goal.
Pitter patter.
Pitter patter.
Pitter patter. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for joining us. We will see you guys next time on Dump and Change.